Glasses up, everybody. Hey everyone, today we are still drinking Mangria, but also we read The Unexpected Twist by Andy Borowitz. This is a book about buttholes, intestines, poop, and comedy. I actually picked this book because it was very highly rated on Amazon. It was a Kindle single, which is a very small market. There's a lot of books that are there. Most of them aren't good.
Wait, if there's a lot of books that are there, wouldn't that make it a large market?
Well, I guess I was referring to the quality. The ones that are good are very small. Needless to say, this book is about a twisted colon. Brian, what did you think about this book?
So, it was wonderful. It was a delightful book to read, but it's in a category that in my mind I think of as a shitty little book. Not because it's a low quality book, but it's like the author doesn't have an epic story to tell. Mm-hmm. This isn't going to be a 250, 300 page novel. It's just, it's some almost stupid little story he has to tell. And I think it's great that he took the time to write it and share the story with us, because, I don't know, what is it, 20 pages? It took me...
If that, it's really quick.
I remember I started reading it, and it was over like that, just in one sitting. And I know you've written a book that I put in that category, the shitty little book, right?
Small.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. Your book actually really, really inspired me, and I made some significant life changes because of it. And I think that more people should write shitty little books. And I think the idea of like, I'm not going to write a book unless I have a story that's wonderful. I have a 400-page novel. I'm not going to write anything. I think that one of the things that's amazing about the Kindles, is it Amazon single, Kindle single?
Kindle singles.
The Kindle singles is that anybody can put out a shitty little book, and you find writers like, is it Andy Borowitz?
Yeah.
Yeah, Andy Borowitz, who's just a fantastic writer, tells a very simple story about his colon being twisted, and it's wonderful. It's a pleasure to read.
What did you think about the
You know what? I thought it was funny. It was kind of like reading a stand-up act.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So, and it moved pretty quickly. And the funny thing about it was the experiences that he's had in there. I mean, not the twisted colon. I've never had an issue with that, or known anybody with that issue. But just dealing with the doctors.
Fantasies.
Yeah, I'll think about it. The twisted colon. Just dealing with the doctors, the medical staff, and his fiance at the time, and that kind of stuff. It kind of harkens back to like some experiences that I've had in dealing with doctors, and how he talks about like their arrogance, and that kind of thing. Like when my wife was pregnant the first time, we had these. My son was kind of, the umbilical cord was like wrapped around him. It wasn't good.
Okay.
And so it was decreasing the blood flow, so they were kind of like watching her, seeing what was going on, until the last minute when they could just, pull him out. Mm-hmm. And what they did is they brought in these medical students, and, my wife is in pain, and, she's barely got anything covering her down here, and, I'm concerned about the modesty, and that, and like 8 or 9 of these students come in here, and she's like, can you just get them out of here? And I was upset, and I'm like, can you guys get the hell out of here? And they wouldn't even recognize me standing there. It was as if I was just not there. They were students, they were medical students. We are here to observe. You are nobody. That kind of thing. And, if it hadn't been for it was my first child, I'd have probably been locked up somewhere right now. But it was just the heinous attitudes that some of these doctors have, that's just, it kind of reminded me of what he was talking about,
Wow. Okay, so I got to one up on the medical student thing.
Right.
So when my first child was born,
right,
my wife had a C-section, and so they make a little cut down here,
right.
and they yank. You see the baby just kind of come out of the stomach.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right.
It just
comes
out. But then they pull out all the inside woman parts, the uterus and different things, and they're sewing stuff up, and they're cleaning it, patting it with claws, and but what they don't make the hole this big, they make a little tiny slit so you won't have much of a scar.
Right.
So a lot of the work is putting all the organs back inside.
Right.
So my wife has an epidural,
Right.
And I think she had a narcotic because she had been regular labor before that. It wasn't a scheduled C-section. So she's saying, oh, I can feel some pressure. And I'm looking, there's a drape, I'm looking over the drape, and I can see, yeah, there's a cut in her stomach, and they're pushing stuff, and she's like, oh, I can feel a little bit there. Oh.
Right.
And they get her uterus, literally, her uterus is now back. It was out, they stitched it up, it's now back inside of her.
Oh my gosh.
In walks a medical student.
Right.
And I literally see the doctor who cut her open say, oh, you're just in time. We're going to let you try this. And he pulls the uterus back out.
Oh my
God. They
God.
just kind of lay it there on her stomach.
That's insane.
And he's like, here, go ahead, doctor, practice putting your uterus in. But I saw them put it in and then pull it back out just so this doctor could practice.
Oh, that's crazy. I thought, you know what the thing is I thought I had a crazy story. It was like that because she had C-sections on both. Okay, and the second one, Alex, my youngest, when he was being born, there's this guy, he's talking to the doctor, and he's explaining to the surgeon this new sanitized polyura, whatever the hell it is, ring that they're using on the incision to hold it open so, you know, you don't have to use the clamps anymore, this kind of other, blah, blah, blah. The guy's a salesman. He is from a medical
He's not even a doctor.
He's not even a doctor. And so I'm like, okay, this is like a bad experience with,
Wait, while your wife is getting cut open, he's in there selling the doctor?
You know, because I'm outside waiting because they tell you, okay, we want to get prepped, sterile, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We come in afterwards when we have everything open. And then, first off, the bad experience, I'm outside waiting for the thing. Next door, there's somebody else having surgery next door, so I'm watching through the little porthole window. The doctor who's about to deliver my child comes over and, like, just gets in my behind because she's like, this person is having surgery, and it's very private, and you shouldn't be watching this, blah, 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 and I'll have security escort you. And I'm standing there like, what?
Like, this person is not
Yeah, and I'm just like, you know, first of all, this was next door. The other person was knocked out. It's not like they're going to wake up and recognize, you know, I mean, it was like some major, like, nonsense, like aliens, something's going on over there, you know, that kind of thing. And I'm like, why are you even going to the whole, having the security escort me out? You're about to deliver my child. I was just bored. I'm watching the thing. Just say, hey, can you move away from the window? You know, that kind of thing. But anyway, I go in there, and it's, you know, I'm thinking this guy is, you know, this surgeon, this, that, and the other. And then I just hear that whole spiel, and he's just like, you know, if you guys need any more parts, or if you'd like to
make
make
a great
an
deal of
order,
steel gloves,
yeah,
buy 2 boxes,
you know,
get one
I'm just
free.
like, what is this all about?
Oh my God.
You know, so that, you know, I don't know, you know, my insurance belongs with a K and ends with a Zerg, but I'm not going to say who they are, you know, making money off of symptoms instead of curing the disease, but, you know, whatever. But that was my experience with, that kind of reminded me of, like he was talking about, you know, the doctors in this book, Dr. Ho, the guy who talks in 140 characters like Twitter.
Yeah. So the crux of this book is this guy is a writer, his wife's a writer, and he kind of starts feeling bloated, not good. They ask him, hey, when was the last time you pooped? This and that. Wait, did you fart today? And he's, I don't know. I keep rigorous records of my farting. And so they find out more or less after some tests and going to the hospital that he's got a twisted colon, so nothing's coming in or out. And this book is kind of the journey of that. And I think this is probably the best book I've ever read about colons. It is.
And the pantheon of colon books.
Pantheon of colon literature.
It's up there.
This is the top of the butthole literature. I mean, this is. It's a very well written, shitty little book that tells a story.
Shitty little book.
I mean, if you were to ask someone to tell you, like, I heard your colon got twisted, what was that like? It would be an awkward dinner conversation. But this was engaging.
Not with Andy Borowitz.
I laughed several times while I was reading
Oh yeah.
it.
Didn't I text you that I laughed out loud a couple times reading it?
Yeah, exactly about that. Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's kind of a fun way to tell a story that I mean, he could have potentially died from this. This was a very serious thing. I don't have any crazy medical experiences like that. I do know they talk a little bit about colonoscopies that happens when you hit your, is it 50 or 40?
No, I think it's like
When you're
40.
40.
Yeah.
So I've had like several of my bosses that have been in that zone, and like so and so's going to be out for a day, but he'll be available by email. It's like, okay, I don't care. They're like, yeah, Raj's colonoscopy went really well, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to know. Don't need to know about the boss's mental health. I don't. And I've heard about the Go Lightly stuff. You have to drink this. It's this liquid called Go Lightly. And it basically flushes your system. And
that is Audrey Hepburn endorsing this. Yeah.
That is just like the biggest misnomer, because anything that makes you clear out your entire intestinal tract is not anything that's light at all.
Exactly.
Lightly.
I talked to somebody that had this done, and they were saying that before they could finish the glass of this stuff, they were running to the bathroom, and and I guess there's some point where like you've flushed out all the Wiener Schnitzel and other things you've eaten, and now you're just on to liquid, and it's just and it was liquid after liquid, and you drink this. I think it's a whole day that you drink this Go Lightly stuff, and you have to be completely clear before they take you in and do the rectal cam. So, you know, I guess, was there a message in this book? That kind of at the end a little bit, right?
I don't remember a message.
Yeah,
all I remember is that he's a wonderful writer, and he makes colonoscopies fun, and he makes bowel obstruction fun. I thought, how is this possible? He's doing it. It's amazing.
I think it was just he was trying to just share an experience.
Yeah.
That happened with him, that kind of. You know what I did take from it in the end, and that he did say, was that once he was done with it, he appreciated every day that he had afterwards. And I think that's what he wants to impart to the reader, is that
enjoy every moment
that you have, because you don't know if you're going to be cut short or not, because this was just something that was unexpected, and it happened, you know, that kind of thing. But what I thought was funny is when they went in to do the emergency repair, the doctor was like, I'm going to be extra careful this time.
Well, like the past couple times, not so careful.
Right.
This time?
Right.
So, you brought up an interesting point about the enjoy life to the fullest, and we've talked about this before. As a short side story, Seth MacFarlane, he's the creator of Family Guy, couple movies. I think
appeared on Shark Tank once and completely bombed.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
No.
He was on Shark Tank.
Really?
And it went terrible. Yeah.
I need to YouTube this. He's a very funny guy, but one of the things that most people don't know about him is he was late to one of his flights, and that flight happened to be on the morning of September 11th. And he was actually supposed to be on the plane that went into one of the towers. I don't remember which flight it was or which plane it was. Right. But he was supposed to be on that, and somebody asked him later on, do you have a finer appreciation for life now that this happened? And he basically said, no, I don't, because in a weird way he said, this kind of stuff just happens, but if I were to try to dwell on that for the rest of my life, I feel like I couldn't get on to what I needed to do. And I'm kind of paraphrasing a bit. I'm going to see if I can find a YouTube video where he talks about this, but it's an interesting thing when you think about, I mean, theoretically, all of us could be hit by a meteor tomorrow. Right? I mean, there's tomorrow is promised to nobody.
Right.
Anything could happen to us. Realistically, probably car accident is the most likely cause of death for people our age. But there's a weird, I guess, appreciation for life, and I think it's one of those things. You've talked about this in parenting, but I think the same thing applies in this context, where how do you appreciate life in this hyper-realistic sense every day?
Yeah, so in the parenting context, it's like, when you have small children, you always get, like old ladies coming up to you, or just all kinds of people who are like, oh, this stage goes by so quickly, enjoy every moment. And I have 4 kids, so at first I was like, yeah, enjoy every moment. By the time you're on your 4th kid, you're like, what the fuck does that mean? I enjoy every moment. I don't know, I'm just trying to survive, but enjoying every moment, it's the kind of thing that if you're thinking about it, you're not doing it. Like, am I enjoying this moment? No, I wasn't. How about now? Yeah, I think, no, haven't been enjoying every moment. So I feel like when people tell you enjoy every moment, it's the kind of advice that you can never follow. And the more you try to follow it, the more you can't follow it.
Right. Well, I think it's one of those things where you have to, it's more or less they're just trying to live in the now. That kind of thing. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about the past. You can't change the past. The future you can't do anything about. I mean, you can try to set up some things to ensure a better
Sort of
future.
appreciate what you have.
Right,
now.
but just appreciate what you're doing right now. You're at the amusement park with your kids, you're at the museum with them, you're at the park, you're having dinner with them, you're tucking them in for bedtime, whatever it is. Enjoy that moment for what it is. You know, it's a universal tenet. The Buddhists believe it, Christians believe it, you know, that kind of thing. And I think it's probably one of the greatest pieces of advice that you could ever get and follow. And I think that's what he was trying to impart. And it didn't hit him until he had to go through that tragedy. Had Seth MacFarlane actually been on a flight that had problems and survived, I think his outlook would be a little bit different. And for me, and I think also having kids, but being, you know, in my mid-40s now, being middle-aged, that kind of thing, start to slow down. Yeah.
You're in your mid-40s?
Yeah. You know.
I thought you were already in your 50s. Like,
You know what? That's why you don't have any friends. You see, this is your social circle, Brian. This is it. See, this
You're
is
the only guy who hang out with me.
Exactly. You know, and we
I've
do
burned
it.
every other
right.
bridge.
It's altruistically because we want to do this, not necessarily this. But it's you know, it's one of those things where you start to slow down a little bit, and things start to change in your world. You see things through regular through different eyes, that kind of thing, because you've been around for a little bit, and so it's just I can take what he was saying for what it is and say that it's really, really good advice.
I think part of it is very hard to appreciate the things that happen every day, right? It's hard to appreciate your family, jobs, because it's stuff it's so close to you that you're almost around it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think, when you have the holidays or something like that, this only happens once a year. You can put things in perspective, but the stuff that you're almost tripping over every day, it's hard to be grateful for that. It's hard to be thankful for that. I guess, is there something in that line of kind of sappy advice, but good advice? Is there something that you feel like you should appreciate more about your life? What could you appreciate more on the day-to-day stuff that's close to you? It's kind of a tough question because
that is tough.
Maybe
I'll post this on YouTube and I'll comment back on it.
I'll get it started, then you can
Right.
think about something while I'm saying it. I was thinking about my job the other day, and sometimes it just feels like this is a place I go to make money, but the more I thought about it, I went, no, this is a stable place where I have benefits and insurance, and I work with good people that work hard, and I get a paycheck, and I've worked for places where that paycheck would sometimes come and not come, and because of bad choices, and I went, this is one of those things that I should be thankful for, but I'm not as thankful as I should be. It's so close to me. I'm there so many hours during the week. I just this becomes the background, the scenery, and I went, I need to be more grateful for my job because it's stable. I like the people I work with. This is something that I should be actionable and thankful for on a daily basis. Do you have something like that that's...
The thing is like my regular job, sometimes I end up having to deal with homeless people. And when I sit down and talk to them, sometimes because I think that's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Just to sit down and talk to them, because a lot of times they don't have anybody to talk to, or they have to talk to other people who are just not there, that are homeless as well. And you get to learn their story, and you find out about them, and that kind of thing. It just makes me so grateful that I don't have to lay out in the rain, in the cold. I don't have to worry about where my next meal comes from. I have to live frugally. I have children and, bills and all that kind of stuff. I have to live paycheck to paycheck like most people do. But I am grateful at night when I lay my head down that I have a humble place to be, a car to get around, and just, friends that I can call and rely on. Just simple things.
Yeah.
It's the simple things that I'm most grateful about when I have to deal and talk to the homeless people who have none of that.
Yeah, I think, you guys both know, I live pretty simply, and I'm not into keeping up with the Joneses at all. So I think at least right now, I'm definitely in a place in life where I sort of live with a sense of gratitude for what I have. And there's probably, things I could be more grateful for, but I can't think of what they are right now. It's part of not knowing, part of the definition of knowing what you could be grateful for means that you'd have to Well,
it's kind of taking
I
stock
kinda
of all
lost
the
that
things you
thought,
have.
yeah.
Because if you think about, there's this weird meta scale of like, well, you live in the United States, and you're the richest country in the world, and it's like, well, yeah, part of that's true, but there is still someone richer than all of us. I mean, this
Right.
is it's a sliding
Right.
scale. We're near the top on a worldwide scale, but
Right.
there's a handful of people in my neighborhood that drive Teslas that,
Yeah, so
you know,
Right.
I guess
Right.
here's what I'm trying to say. When you think about, okay, what could I be more grateful for? You know, when you start thinking in that category, you're already thinking of things that you don't appreciate. So there's, when you start asking that question, you're already asking a question about, well, what am I ignorant of? I think there's a knee-jerk reaction to say, well, what are things I'm supposed to be, I've heard I'm supposed to be thankful for having a roof over my head, having enough food, having a car with gas in it, and those are all good things to be thankful for. But I think, you know, maybe more of the lesson is to meditate on some of the things that you should be grateful for, or things that you could be grateful for that are in your life that you really haven't considered yet. I think that's kind of where I was getting to.
I like that. That's good. Would you recommend this book to people?
Yeah, with a caveat, I'd say this is to me, this is like when you have 30 minutes and you want to read something fun, save this book for that. It's not deep reading like, you know, book 7 of Harry Potter. It's, this is a short, fun book, and the writer, I can't wait to see what comes next from Andy Borowitz.
Borowitz. He's got 3 or 4
Borowitz.
books. We might review one of his other books because this one.
Okay, he's a great writer. He's wonderful, and he, like you said, he's kind of like a stand-up comedian.
Right.
So set this aside for when you have just a little bit of spare time and you want to read something fun. That's this book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of like, I call it a dessert book. You know what I mean? After you finish reading all the heavy, you know, War and Peace tomes and all that kind of stuff you have to deal with, this is your after dinner dessert, that kind of thing where you treat yourself to a little bit of fun and some humor, something to give you to think about at the end of the day. So I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I would say the same. This is a good, maybe like a lunch break book, or if you've got a short flight somewhere, it's kind of right in that sweet spot of, it's very entertaining. You'll be able to connect with him very quickly. His writing is funny. It tells a very good story. Like I said, maybe top 10 colon books I've read. I'm not going to say top 5. I feel like that's being a little generous. But, you know, definitely top 10 colon books I've read. It's just a very, very well-written story, but like we've all said, very short. I think this might be on the Kindle Unlimited plan. And if you're part of that, it's the new thing Amazon's doing where you pay like a flat fee. It's kind of the Amazon of books. This is definitely worth your while to get in that sweet spot. I think it was like $1, but I also felt like I got more than $1 worth. And a fun story about a twisted colon, but also I think the bigger message was there's some thankfulness and gratitude to be found in there as well. Thanks guys, we appreciate it. We'll be back with more great episodes very soon.